right, thanks everybody for joining us today. If we want to start with roll call, Julie Donham.
Paul Ash.
Here.
Karen St. John.
Here.
Alex Crowley.
Here.
Jackie Yenna.
Here.
Kate Rosenbarger.
Here.
Tracy Gates.
Here.
Hi, Tracy. Thanks for jumping on.
Yeah.
And I think that's, did I get all the board members? Okay, and I'm Jane Cooper Smith, staff. Other staff?
Larry Allen, legal.
And Holly Warren is joining us, our new ESD staffer, who we'll introduce momentarily. And I think that's, did we get everybody? Okay.
I think so.
And
Everybody got the packet yesterday that included the minutes. Did everybody have a chance to take a look at the minutes? Are there any?
sorry, Julie, Mary just joined us, so I want to acknowledge Mary on the roll call.
Okay, sorry.
Thanks.
Hi, sorry I'm late, everyone.
Oh, I'm
You're good.
Did everyone have a chance to look at the minutes, and are there any changes? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes from August.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Jane, you want to roll
Okay.
call?
Yeah, Julie Donham,
Yes.
Paul Ash,
Yes.
Karen St. John,
Yes.
Alex Crowley,
Yes.
Jackie Yenna,
Yes.
Kate Rosenbarger,
Yes.
Tracy Gates,
Yes.
and Mary Morgan.
Yes,
Okay. So shall I jump into the next item, Julie?
Go ahead and move into financial reports and your director's report.
Yeah, okay. So for financial reports, I apologize, there are no reports this month. We had a short lead time to this meeting, and I was actually at an economic development training and conference last week that we had. I thought it was going to be kind of relaxing, but we had 10-hour days that were chock full of information. So I didn't get the bank statements emailed to Jeff before he left town. So we will have 2 months next month. And the activity to report, just generally speaking, is that FarmStop reimbursed their amount that I had overpaid, which is great. And we paid on a scholarship. And then I do have some, and we received loan payments for the pre-existing loans, not for the RRF loans. And then I have some new invoices to pay that will, on our commitment spreadsheet, will make some of our annual grant making just complete. So that will be like the lemonade day. I've had trouble getting payment information from them for some reason, so that's why that's been outstanding. So we have a few more items to wrap up, but not a lot of activity in August. For the director's report, I don't have a lot of information. I am really excited to introduce Holly Warren, who is on this meeting today. She is the city's new assistant director for the arts. Holly hails from Chicago and had been spending some time in visiting Bloomington over the last couple of years. And so we were super, super lucky to steal her away from the Logan Center for the Arts on the U Chicago campus. So Holly, this is the Bloomington Urban Enterprise Association, and they are a really specific group of individuals. The makeup of this board is prescribed, and so they represent resident and business interests. And as you know, they will partner with the BAC on some arts grant making, which is probably, the board would agree, some of the more fun activities that we get to engage in. So I'm not sure who is going to be serving as the participant with you and Bryony, but somebody from this crew. So do you want to, I don't know, do you want to say anything about yourself or?
Yeah, sure. I'll just say hi, and it's just such an honor to be here. I'm so excited to be here. I was just speaking to one of the communications people in City Hall and just saying, you know, I feel like I've known this city mostly as a tourist up till this point, and I've just always loved coming down here and going to arts events, especially when we were able to do more in person. As I've started this position and just learning about how much the city seems to really value and support the arts, I've just been so excited to kind of dive in, get in on that train and just work with you all to learn what you do, learn what you feel the city needs as far as arts, and work with you to make it happen. So thanks for hosting me. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you for being here. And then for my director's report, I really don't have a ton of information to share. I think I'll type up some notes from the conference last week. I made a connection. There weren't too many enterprise zone people there, and it was really interesting to listen to this organization, the Indiana Communities Institute. And then there were some IEDC folks there, but they're not super dialed into enterprise zones. And there were a couple representatives. So one person was from LaPorte, who I think has completely stepped away from the Association for Indiana Enterprise Zones, and they retain the same council that represents the AIEZ, Amy Lavander, who works for Creek DeVault in Indianapolis. They just retain her directly to lobby for their interests, and they have kind of a different, it seems to me, strategy about their work that they're doing. So I'm kind of interested to reconnect with that person and interrogate him about how they got to the place where they are. They're an independent nonprofit, I think, wrapped up with their economic development, with their LIDO, economic development organization. But one of the main takeaways from the conference was just really that economic development is community development. And I felt really proud because I think that is just completely what the BVA has been dedicated to and what we've really tried to grow into and evolve into a little bit more in the last couple of years with our programs that spoke directly to COVID impacts and racial equity and whatever, which we'll talk about in a minute. So that's kind of my spiel for the director's report. Questions about any of that or anything else? Not detailed there. So I think our next meeting we will spend, or we should just plan to spend a larger chunk of the time going over numbers together, if that works for the board.
I think that works. Do you want to move on to unfinished business?
That'd be great. So my update for the BUA intern specifically is just that we haven't hired anyone yet. It's been a little bit complicated figuring out how to use the city's infrastructure to hire for a third party, but it seems to be doable. So I'm waiting on information from Office of the Controller and HR, but that is still in process. I just wanted to report on that. And then last meeting, we talked about needing to put some energy behind the board vacancy. So yeah, so there's back to BUA interns. So I have 2 SPIA interns who are working on individual BUA related projects while we wait and try to iron out the details for the dedicated BUA intern. So on the subject of board vacancy, they're helping work up a recruitment strategy. So they're kind of like looking into some best recruitment practices so that we can try to really get the word out while we're also doing the basic, like talking to people and posting on Facebook. So I've posted on the neighborhood associations, but I think early next week we should have a flyer. And so we'll flyer downtown businesses and zone businesses and locations. So yeah, I mean, that's the main update, is just that we're working on it, but that is, that's new from last month. So again, if you have any ideas, send them my way. We're happy to put some energy behind it. We really want to get that spot in particular is a really important person, since we know it's a like guaranteed different political perspective. Any thoughts on that?
You might consider somebody from Catalent, or does it have to be a business owner?
It needs to be a resident. So this needs to be a resident who is of a different political party than the other resident that's on our committee. And so our other resident, just for the record, doesn't love being put in the position of having to identify a political party, but if forced, identifies as Democrat. And so we're looking for someone who is not a Democrat, basically. But I do love the idea of getting Catalent involved, Paul, otherwise.
One other source that we may want to consider, which is not evident, or as you know, Jane, we're talking to a lot of people moving into Bloomington from other places, and this kind of board involvement also helps to connect people, and so maybe there's a rich source of potential players from the outside too.
Yeah, that's a good idea, and it could be that if we get to a point where we're having such difficulty recruiting, like the way the Enterprise Association interprets resident is someone who's lived in the zone for at least a year. So if we get to a point where we're really having trouble, but we have someone who's interested and is a recent transplant, then maybe the board could consider, allowing that person to participate. Okay. Anything else on that? Mary?
Is it worth reaching out to William Ellis with the Republican Party, or whoever is the head of the Green Party?
That's a great idea. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
I've got a suggestion. What about some of the neighborhood associations that might be?
Yeah. I've been posting comments, but when our flyer is done, I'll repost that to the pages, and then see if we can get those out in the communities physically as well. But I think, I agree. Those are great points of contact. Okay, well, if that's it so far on the board vacancy, I'll jump on to the next subject. Is that okay, Julie?
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay, so this topic we first started working on when we were working on the 2021 budget. And I think in December when we talked about it, I had a loose idea that we should work on some business granting that would facilitate for businesses, zone businesses, anti-racism or diversity, equity, and inclusion training. What I think is nice about the BUEA is that it allows businesses to kind of find their own solution, whether it's for their professional development or arts programming. We're kind of like, you tell us what you want to do, and if it's within the parameters, then we'll fund it. It's usually how we operate. So that was kind of how we talked about creating this anti-racism grant making program. We would just reimburse businesses up to $1,000 for an individual. We had an accelerator if the businesses were partnering together. And to be honest, the pace of this year has not slowed down much from 2020, and I haven't gotten this off the ground yet. I don't think it has to be super complicated, but I do think it has to be just exactly right in the way that we describe it and structure it. So in the meantime, the Chamber of Commerce announced on September 2nd that it will be launching a series of anti-racism trainings for chamber members And I reached out to the chamber to see if the BUEA could facilitate paying some kind of tuition or scholarship for businesses who aren't members, if we could kind of defray that expense. But the chamber, understandably, protects a lot of their programming for members. They are a member organization, and it's their, while they've been extremely generous, especially since COVID hit, in what they do for the community at large, they have decided to keep this training specifically for members. So I wanted to approach the board to see if you all think it would be a good idea to use some of or all of the anti-racism grant making program to allow that to be used to cover the cost of chamber memberships, which for zone businesses, which would then allow them to participate in this series of trainings. So I included our original memo and then also the press release, which I'm showing here. I hope you can see it, for the Chamber of Commerce's training. So they're working with the Garden, which is Nichelle Whitney. It's a Black woman-owned business. Nichelle has been working in this space for a while. She's really kind of an incredible person all around and has done a lot for like girls in coding too. So I think it's really exciting that the chamber's chosen to partner with the Garden, whom I mentioned in our proposal too, as someone we might reach out to. So what does it look like? 6 trainings. Yeah, and Mary, I don't know if you want to say anything about this training overall, or if board, you just want to throw your ideas out and see kind of where this is landing with each of you. So the training, 6 trainings, 2 hours apiece. And then the chamber membership starts at $350 for very small businesses. And I think the next level is $550. So really the value is, it's pretty high, in my opinion.
So I would just add that, Jane, since the last time I talked to you, I have talked to my colleagues, and we're fine with this. So the training, the first training is on October 1st. So if the board does decide to move ahead with this, we could take a vote today and from the chamber's perspective. And just for those of you who don't know, I am a staff member of the Chamber, Director of Advocacy and Public Policy. We have done internal staff training with the Garden, Nichelle Whitney. It is great. You know, we've really benefited a lot from her, and I think these sessions are going to be phenomenal. In addition to the ones that are offered in the press release, we're planning to do an additional set of training starting in January, sometime next year. So if there was an offer for, really, if somebody joined the chamber now, they would have access to the additional training that we do in addition to the ones that are listed here. And of course, all would be get all of the other chamber benefits as well. So
I think the flip side, and then I'll summarize what I believe is the question for you guys to discuss. On the flip side, I think if a business came to us and said they wanted to pursue, X training at $1,000, then I think we should support that as well. But I just saw this chamber opportunity as being really great value, and then facilitating those community discussions. So businesses aren't training in isolation, but they're training with other business people working in other fields. And so I think that facilitates, dialogue in a really nice way. So I think the question is, would the board be willing to allow the use of the anti-racism grant-making budget line, which was originally $5,000 in unspecified grants that the board decided to raise the cap on to 15,000. Could that $15,000 be used to pay for chamber memberships up to $1,000 apiece for businesses located in the enterprise zone who wish to participate in the chamber's anti-racism training?
Do we market it as businesses that would be interested in this training? Or do we market it as a chamber membership?
I mean, I would recommend marketing it if you're interested in this training and you're located in the zone. Email, get in touch and we can help facilitate that for you.
Well, and I think I'm for that. I'm not for just giving out chamber membership dollars for people in the zone.
Okay.
I would agree, Julie. I think that the board, we've previously designated those funds for this particular type of training. And, just coincidentally, the chamber has been developing this separately. So I think any marketing would definitely need to be access to this training in particular.
Okay, I agree with that.
Alex has his hand. Oh, Karin and then Alex.
Thanks. I think I support this idea. I just have a couple questions. It seems like we would need to require that they attend some percentage of these trainings if we're giving this money out that has been earmarked for diversity and inclusion training. So I would make that suggestion. I don't know what that number is. I don't know if they have to go to, it looks like they're 2 hours a piece. So I don't know what we would decide there. Secondly, would we put a limitation on people who it would seem like people who currently aren't members. I don't know.
Right. We can't market this to organizations that are already members. They already have access to it.
Yeah.
So they could apply for something else.
Or if they're like renewing their membership, I think that's what I was thinking of.
Oh, I see.
If someone's already a member and now I'm going to just renew and I find out I can do it for free as long as I go to these, maybe that's okay because we're requiring them to get this training. So I don't know. That's just
I like both of those.
Devil's always in the details. So
Yeah, I think we could. Yeah, I support those
comments. Yep.
Thanks. Alex? And then Jackie?
In the category of great minds think alike, those were exactly the two questions that I was going to ask. So I'm taking my hand down.
Okay. Jackie, how about you?
Am I understanding that you wanting to make a way to pay for somebody to join the chamber?
Well, yeah, but only because they can access this training if they do that. So I think we would have to have an affidavit attached of some kind to the MOU, or Larry can tell us how to do it, where they attest that they will participate in the trainings and report back after they do so.
I can't understand why the chamber can't make their own provisions to let people in like that.
Jackie, while we are, and we do provide a lot of resources to the general community, fundamentally we're a membership organization. And so there are things that we offer as benefits for membership, much like any other membership organization that are accessible only to our members. So, it's a way that we fund our work and provide value for the membership. And that's one of the things that we had heard from our members who were looking for this kind of training and didn't have, as a particularly small businesses, because that is the bulk of our membership. They couldn't find training that was accessible to them financially. And we were able to offer this through Duke Energy Foundation grant. So that's kind of the rationale there.
Okay.
Karen? Oh, sorry, and Kate, I hadn't seen your hand. I don't know who's first.
Karen can go.
Okay. Karen, did you have
Oh,
another?
sorry. Oh, yeah, I did. Sorry. I thought Kate said she would go. Thanks, Kate.
Oh.
I just had two more follow-up questions. I assume these are online, Mary, these courses?
Yes,
Okay. And secondly, then, given that they're online, I'm assuming there's no limitation as to the number of people. So these wouldn't fill up or anything. Is that right? Before we could actually fund somebody to join?
that's right.
Okay.
And we do require registration. So if the, BUEA board decides that there needs to be some tracking, we would be able to provide that information.
Okay.
And then Kate,
I was going to ask a similar question. For the chamber businesses, who is allowed to attend these trainings? Any employees, or is this for management?
Any employees who work for a chamber member.
Okay. Yeah. Am I allowed to just talk for a second, or does this?
yeah, go for it.
Anything's fine. Okay. My hesitancy is the membership part. I mean, I work sometimes at the YMCA, and we offer a lot of programs, and those programs are cheaper for our members. And then we also offer non-member rates, which I think is a really awesome thing. I mean, of course, they're more expensive, but then it allows anyone to come on in. Also at NeighborWorks America, we had member rates for all of our nationwide training institutes, and then there were non-member rates as well for people not in the network. This one is hard for me because I think, like, by the very nature of DEI, you would want to open it up to all businesses at a different rate. And I guess I could also see that as a marketing tactic for the chamber to say, like, hey, try this out. And then, if you like it, join the chamber, kind of thing. So I don't know. I guess I would just maybe like to hear a little more from everyone, or maybe Mary, if you know a lot about this, as to did you explore that option at all here? I just think being a member of the chamber can be a barrier for some folks. And this is a topic that I really want to make sure everyone feels welcome and just does not have a barrier.
I might chime in if it's okay. And just say that I think, Kate, the chamber did that, and they've been doing that since COVID hit. They have been so open with their resources and facilitating communication. And then they also have started the Black Business Owners Affinity Group, which I believe there's no membership fee. So that is for non-members as well as members. So I think they're doing a lot and have done a lot to facilitate openness. And Mary can speak to why they are closing this particular training to membership only. But, for us, I think there's another part of this conversation, which is we're coming up on Q4, and I have interns back now. And so they're working on publicity, and I was kind of going it alone over the summer. And so I think that's why it's been slow to get this rolling. But what we can do with these $15,000 between now and December 31st with just launching our own program versus what we can do by facilitating this training in this way is vastly different. I think we might scoop some independent trainings, but we are effectively removing the barrier to this training. And I think it's super high quality. So I probably have overstepped my role at that point. I'm thinking I'll be quiet. Those are the moving parts for me. Yeah.
I was not part of the group that put this program together, so I wasn't privy to discussions of the structuring. I do, yeah, as Jane said, I mean, we do offer a lot of things that are just open to the general public or that have the tiered rates that you mentioned, Kate. For this one in particular, we're offering it because we see it as a value for our members, and that's yeah, that was a decision made. Like I said, I'd rather not. I don't have the background to speak to how that decision was made and why it's not offered as a tiered member, but it, you know, it is a value to our members, which is, and I will also say, in case it's not clear, we didn't do this as, our motivation was not to get the BUEA to pay for membership. We were just doing this separately for our members. And so when Jane approached us, you know, that's when this discussion started. So.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate all of that. And when we increased that budget to 15,000, is there a cap per organization that we put on that?
Yeah, it's 1,000 per organization. And then we had said 1,250 if they collaborate, but I think we should just interpret that in this case as 1,000 is the cap. And then Kate, by all means, if you have more, keep going, but I will acknowledge that Alex has his hand raised too.
Oh, sorry, I can't see everything.
No, you're good. You're fine.
Okay.
Did you have more questions?
I had one more thing, but I'll let Alex go. I'm okay for it.
Okay.
The power of the emoji. Kate, I totally agree with you, Kate. I think, and maybe the way to think about this is, you know, speed to market versus more robust programming in the future. And obviously, I think we all probably would agree that this is not a one and done issue, and it's not a one and done solution. And so it could be that that some of these more expansive program ideas could be something that the BUEA tackles in a different way in 2022 or beyond that. But it seems to me, to Jane's point earlier, that speed to market is an important component right now, given where we are in the year. And this is a good way to perhaps get going with the idea that says this is not necessarily the way we would do it in the future, but it's a way to start, to learn from it, and then perhaps to buy some time to develop something a little bit more BUEA centric for 2022 and beyond.
I see Karen, and I think, yeah, Karen.
I didn't know if Kate had something else.
Okay.
So I like this idea, and I am really just trying to listen to what I think Kate is attempting to voice, and also just thinking about spending $15,000 in a way that would hit more than 15 to 30 businesses. I don't know, maybe, I guess that's a lot if we had 15 to 30 zone businesses participate. But is there any appetite? And again, I like this program, so I will be in favor of this, but I also want to ask, as a member of the board, is there any appetite, Jane or Alex, for the BUEA to pay Garden $15,000 to do our own workshops? Maybe it's only 2, maybe it's 3, that would be open to all zone businesses. And that seems like a good idea, but then again, details like, how do we tell all the zone businesses they could do that? Can we contact all of them? What does that look like? Because we wouldn't want to do that. We don't have the footprint and really the megaphone that the chamber has to get this information out. And so then it's on us to try and get what I think are loosely organized businesses that don't even know what the BUEA is. And now we spent $15,000 on 10 businesses that show up. I'm just making that up. Like, that would be the sad part of this. Instead of hitting 15 to 30, going with the chamber that has a much bigger footprint, people know them, they're recognized. So I'm not sure it's a good idea for us to do that, but I do want to ask about that and see what people think about that.
Well, it's a good idea, Karin. My reaction to that is sort of, and maybe this is the question in the form of or answer in the form of a question, but it may be that where Mary can help, where, perhaps a fatal flaw in going at it this particular way could be if the chamber is only communicating to its membership about this opportunity, right? If it's not communicating to the broader public about the opportunity, are we going to find ourselves really with sort of effectively no communication to the target group that we're trying to reach, right? And so, Mary, I don't know if you can speak to that a little bit, but if the answer to that is not a lot of outreach beyond the membership, how as a business that is not a member would I hear about this? And then does that mean that we're actually going to have an ineffective reach as a result of that?
Sure, I can speak to that. I'm thinking of all of our marketing mechanisms. It's going to be mentioned in a HT column that'll be published on Friday. So for whatever reach the HT has nowadays, that's one thing. We do a ton of social media, which obviously go beyond our membership. We have a expansive email list, which is primarily members, but also others in the community. And then we'll market it at our events, our other events, which are, many of them are open to the public. And then we go to meetings of groups that are in the BUEA zone. So the brick and mortar group, downtown Bloomington, Inc., Kirkwood Community Association. So those are some of the avenues that would go beyond just our membership.
I want to acknowledge Jackie has his hand raised, and I don't know if I'm happy to weigh in on that subject as well, but I feel lined up with Alex's response, so I don't think I need to. Does anyone else have comments on the idea of the BUEA launching its own training?
I'm looking down below these topics, and on this next paragraph, and one sentence says, these sessions are ideal for companies / individuals that want a deeper understanding of the consequences of isms and phobias. I want to know what is meant by isms.
Mm-hmm. I think it means like, well, racism is the big one, and any other like anti-Semitism, any of the prejudiced ways of lumping groups together that in a prejudiced way. So I think that's kind of a shorthand description. That's my interpretation.
That's right.
I'm just looking at, I know where the Chamber of Commerce stands on union organizing. I just wondered if that meant unionism too.
Mary would have to speak to that, but I wasn't aware that the chamber has an anti-union stance. Do they typically, Mary?
No. No, I have never heard that discussed at all here. And but I would say that generally pro or con unionism is not really the focus of this kind of training.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to cover my bases here.
No, I think that's good to bring up, Jackie. And I think, Jackie is our representative of organized labor. And I think that is very much him filling his role by asking those questions. So I think that's good. And then Kate, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, I didn't mean to actually raise did I do that? Put my hand up like that? The little, I don't know.
It's cute. It's fine. It's
Okay.
just right in
I don't
the
even know
corner.
where that is. Okay. Well, you were asking about Karin's suggestion. I think that sounds awesome, but I also understand there might not be enough time between now and the end of the year to get that together. I don't know how we get in touch with zone members, right? I mean,
We have
I
a
would-
list of zone businesses with contact information. So we got them.
okay,
But-
so that I would assume that's how we would get out both of these pieces of information. Either we're doing our own training, or you can join the chamber on us and do a training. So, right, I guess I don't have any idea as to like our bandwidth, the staff bandwidth, and then us being able to get that booked by the end of the year. I could also imagine we could pay for it by the end of the year, and it could happen in the next year potentially. I don't know. You can speak to that, I think, Jane, about how our
Yeah.
finances work. I thought I had something else. Oh, I think, Mary, this is for you, the HT and social media. So if we do this, I guess, would it be added into your HT column, or add that zone members can do this kind of on a scholarship from us? I mean, I don't know. Or would you just be marketing that this is open to chamber members? Like, how would that happen exactly?
Yeah, the column, we just turned it in this morning, so that we couldn't add that in. I guess I was speaking to just how we market the availability of this training for chamber members. I mean, we could certainly, whatever the board here is comfortable with, we could update our other marketing materials to add that. But again, I would not want to overstep. I would not want you all to feel like we are somehow using this as a promotional thing for chamber membership. So whatever the group is comfortable with here, we could certainly do.
I know Karin is short on time. I just would reemphasize that I would see this as one tool or one way that we can help businesses access this training, but this is not categorically the only way we can expend that $15,000. So I think the communication I would make to businesses via email and then have the interns do via social is just to tell them, like, we are interested in facilitating and, DEI, anti-racism training for your businesses. Here is one way you can do it. Or if you want to pursue it directly, we will fund up to $1,000 per business. So I think it can be pretty straightforward. But I think in my way I'm thinking about it, it's both and, not either or. Any other? Oh, Kate, there you are.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say,
You're good.
I think that sounds great, that it is like, we are rolling out, the scholarship opportunity for everyone. And here is a chamber option. And also you're allowed to bring in Michelle on your own, or Crossroads, or whoever else. Right. And
Yeah.
I think that would be great. Okay.
I think that we
and-
ought to be careful though about back on, I think Karin mentioned this, is like not paying for somebody's renewing chamber membership or,
Yes.
and I guess I would feel more confident if we had a way of monitoring and that people actually were doing what we're paying for.
And
Yeah, Julie, we would be registering for, if this is approved, we register attendees, and so Jane could let me know who has taken advantage of this particular program, and we could then get back to you about who participates.
So if they don't participate, let's say in half of them, do we ask for our money back? I mean, what do we do at that point? I mean, it's
Well-
kind of out the door by then.
what we've done with our other programming is we have sort of stopped doing reimbursement only, because we think that having a reimbursement only model has been a barrier for arts organizations and scholarship students as well. So our leverage then becomes that they're not eligible for future funding opportunities. That's our main stick. And then we also can, sign an MOU with the individuals receiving the funding, and we can include, specific, we can have them sign an affidavit and attest that they will attend, or that they will have staff members at one of each training or at all of the trainings, something to that effect. But I think we could get pretty specific, and like Julie, if you want to get into the details of that MOU, I think we could work that over together with Larry.
Okay. Well, I just, we're paying for a membership. We want to but we're paying for it for a specific reason. And we want to make sure that they're taking advantage of the reason that we are paying for, because that's what we want to, that's the benefit we want out of it. I mean, there's obviously more benefits, Mary. I didn't mean that to come out the way that sounded, but there's obviously more benefits, but this is the specific benefit we're paying for.
Well, this has been a really great discussion. So who else? Karen, you have to leave, and did you have?
I do. I just have two more things to say. One, I appreciate people sort of weighing in on just an idea of the BUEA doing it, because I'm not sure that's the way to go, but I did want to throw that out. And secondly, actually I have 3 points. The second one is that I think there is benefit in having businesses do the chamber one, because in my mind, it will be a larger group. And when I read the last sentence of the press release from the chamber, it says that the sessions are interactive and led by participant need. And so I think that's probably a richer conversation if a zone business is in a session with other chamber members who maybe aren't in the zone. And finally, it looks to me that these are 2-hour sessions, and we give $500 or $1,000 to a business. And I know a lot of the seminars and things that I look at for our business, it's for one person for like a 2-hour event is like $295 or something. And so I think if we're going to require some number of these, I don't think we should require that they go to all 6, because I think for the money we're spending, that's 12 hours for $500. That seems, I don't know, just trying to equate how much we're actually paying and then getting back what we're paying for. I think that's a lot to ask for someone to go to all 6. I would probably pick some number less than all 6. So that's my 2 cents. I do need to leave. I am not going to be here for the vote, but if you want to take it in absentia, I do support that we use money in this manner. I do think we should have a requirement of going to like something like maybe 3 of the 6. And I think we should require that the chamber verifies that there was attendance from the company. And just as an aside, it would be interesting to know how many people from the zone business came. That's another thing. So yeah, that's what I have to say, but I have to leave. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Karen.
Let me know how it goes, Jane.
Yeah, I'll follow up.
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate you.
Bye.
Julie, tell us where to take it from here.
If is there a motion to move forward with this? And if so, some of the conditions?
Julie, can I interject just for a moment?
Sure.
I'm sorry. Just because, so under the bylaws, the member is not to get any fiduciary benefit from a vote of the board. So I think Mary, I would suggest it would be appropriate for you to recuse yourself from this formal discussion and vote period, since your organization would stand to benefit. It does allow for members to receive benefits when a service is rendered, but just for the sake of ethics and keeping everything above board, I would strongly recommend that Mary recuse herself from this.
I recuse myself. Thanks, Larry.
Okay, and so then Larry, that leaves us with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 members present. I think if Tracy is still here, and she is. Is that okay? Thanks, Tracy. Is that good for quorum?
That is good for quorum. Yeah, you're fine.
Okay.
And I would also urge whoever makes the motion, if you could include the specifics in it, that would would be fantastic, just so that we can note those for the minutes going forward.
So specifics being the maximum amount and maybe how many sessions they need to attend?
I think that's correct. Yeah, maximum amount. I would, based on the discussion, this is what I would recommend. Of course, I don't mean anything, so you don't have to follow my recommendations. But I would recommend number of sessions, minimum number of sessions you would like to attend, the maximum amount of funding, and then also two pieces of proof that we would require from the Chamber of Commerce, which is that it is potentially a new membership, if that is the way the board wants to go, and then also that they have registered for the events.
Okay.
I'm typing this into the chat for whoever wants to read it to summarize Larry's. So motion to approve the use of the anti-racist research of the Chamber of Commerce's.
All right, I'll take a gander.
You gonna do it?
I'm gonna do it. I'm living on the edge. So I move that the BUEA approve this program with the following conditions: that the amount per company not exceed $1,000, that the minimum number of sessions of a participating member receiving the benefit be 3, that it is for new members or renewing members, and I put the question mark, no, just new members.
New members, yeah.
And that the chamber provide the BUEA of the proof of membership and also proof of attendance. And do we want to layer in that the BUEA will require attendees to sign an affidavit according to their receiving the benefit or associated with receiving the benefit that they will intend to attend?
I think that sounds good.
Good one, Alex.
Is
I can
there-
second.
Okay, so Paul seconded it.
Okay, do you want to do a roll call vote, Jane?
Yeah, I do. Julie Donham,
Yes.
Paul Ash,
Yes.
and then Karen's gone. Alex Crowley,
Yes.
Jackie Yenna,
Yes.
Kate Rosenberger,
Yes.
Tracy Gates,
Yes.
and Mary is abstaining. So great. That's everybody.
Yeah.
That was a really robust discussion. I really appreciate it. And I think this will help us get more folks moving in this direction sooner. So I'm grateful for the board's support on this item. And I think having had this rich of a discussion really will, it really clarifies the boundaries and the purpose of what we're doing. So yeah, thank you.
And Jane, I will rely on you to send me whatever verbiage is acceptable for us to use, if anything.
Yeah, great. Okay, Julie, that was the end of new business.
All right, is there any general discussion? I don't hear anybody saying anything. That the next BUEA board meeting, can you believe that's going to be October 13th? We're already in October. It's hard to believe. So I appreciate everybody coming, and I appreciate all the input for this last item that we discussed. That was good. So thanks for all your help and for your dedication to this board. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And if I had a motion that we can adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Everybody in favor, just say aye.
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 Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, Holly.
Thanks, Jane.
Yeah, see you, Julie.